Bruce, thank you for joining me.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Well, this is a loaded question, but we'll figure out a way to do it in under 2 minutes. Tell us about yourself. You're the founder and CEO of the Samuel Hubbard Shoe Company. What could you tell us about your journey?
Well, I got in the shoe business when I was about 23,
Okay.
and my family's shoe manufacturing business that had gone on for almost 40 years had come to an end because of the imports, because of all the competitive forces, and most of the factories in New England were closing. I came
Early
back
70s.
in
right?
the early 70s, and I came back and found my father starting all over again at the back of a small shoe store and a telex machine and a secretary. And I had never really intended to. I had worked as a child in a shoe factory, but in the summers, doing different kinds of jobs and learning a little bit about how shoes were made. But it was never my chosen career. I studied physics. I studied engineering physics, and I had a great dream that I wanted to sail around the world. And I had spent several years working to build a boat. And I came back and
Wow.
sort of innocently started. My father said, "I have some shoes that you could sell that are sitting in this warehouse that somebody canceled." And he said, "Maybe you could sell them and make some money for your boat." So I started driving around with my Volkswagen truck and my dog with no idea what I was doing, just calling on people and mostly leather shops, small independent shoe stores. And people liked the shoes, and I sold them all. And then, as fate would have it, I made enough money to start going to look to maybe buy a boat that I could just get started on my journey. And I had a car accident in Jamaica, a very unfortunate accident, which kind of set me back. And that gave me time to think. And I decided, well, maybe I need more security. I should come back and maybe sell, find a way to make a little more money before I just get stuck on a boat with no money to go, go anywhere. I came back, and as I went back out and tried to sell a few more shoes for my dad, I found out that the shoes we had sold, people loved. But we had never put a name on them. So one day I'm walking down the street, I find a guy, and I said, "Wow, what are those shoes you're wearing?" And he said, "Oh, these are my favorite shoes. I've never had a shoe this comfortable." I said, "Where'd you get them?" And he said, "I can't remember where I bought them, but I really wish I could because my roommate wants to buy a pair." And I went to a phone booth. About 10 minutes later, I called my father. I said, "You know what? We have to put a name on these shoes so that people will know what they are." And so that's how Rockport started. And I spent 14 years doing that. And about 5 weeks before we were to be public, the Red Herring was published. Everything was ready to go. We had 100 shares in the company because there had never been any investment other than the little bit that we put in. The whole company, Rockport, was created on $15,000 of paid-in capital, ever. So at that point, we were going to go public, at a big, big number. And there were 100 shares, the same 100 shares that we started with. And I just decided that I made a personal decision that I just didn't know if I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing this, and the pressures that were already mounting from all these guys from Wall Street. I said, there's an expression: the man who knows when enough is enough always has enough. It's a Sufi expression. And I just said, my friend said, "What do you need this for?" And so I left and went out to California, where I had always wanted to live, in San Francisco, and I fell into an entirely different business. I got involved in the online community business in the infancy, before the web, several years before that even started. And I took over the Well from Stuart Brand, which was the online community of.
So this is late 80s, early 90s.
This was probably by 1989 or 90. I was, email was something that we used to send messages across the office.
Right.
But
you could not. CompuServe and
no, there was none of that. Well, you couldn't even send a message to anybody outside the building because there was no way to connect to anybody.
Right. It was only internal networks.
We had internal mail, and so it all started. And I was there when all that began. And so I spent another 14. It seems like my life is in 14-year chapters. I spent 14 years building on online communities, pioneering it, building Well Engaged, which was the first web-based discussion software. We had the place where you could get your own web page and have your own discussions and links, and like at least 15 years before Facebook ever started, I think.
Wow.
And
that
but
brings
then
it to
eventually I
Samuel
came back.
Hubbard.
Then time goes by. I had a daughter, and one day, I didn't have a child till I was 58. And one day when my daughter was 8 years old, she came to the dining table and said, with a picture of a shoe. She said, "Dad, we should do shoes together." And I said, "Do you know that I used to be in the shoe business? I didn't even know that she ever knew that. I didn't talk about it particularly.
Right.
And she said, yeah. She said, Grandpa told me that you used to make shoes.
Wow.
And so I said, I'll think about this. Let me think about this for a while. And that's how Samuel Hubbard began.
Amazing. Amazing.
And here I am back in the shoe business.
Wow. We have a lot to cover, so I'm going to jump right in. Everyone knows the saying, beauty is pain, or, no pain, no gain. And there's people might feel that, to wear a nice and attractive pair of shoes, you're going to have to suffer. Samuel Hubbard is the exact opposite. You could wear a very fashionable pair, and it's extremely comfortable. Why? How did you even solve that to begin to wrap your head around and say, you know what? It doesn't have to be painful to wear an attractive pair of shoes.
No, well, when I was at Rockport in the shoe business, I was almost the anti-fashion guy. I was the guy who would go around and say to people, in the future, people are not going to wear, ties and jackets and dress that way. They're going to wear, much more. It's not going to just be casual Friday. They all thought it was sort of heretic to say this and stuff, and I thought, people want to be comfortable eventually. It's not just on Friday they want to be comfortable. And the whole lightweight shoe concept started when Nike brought out the waffle trainer, the first. I still have a pair, the original pair, because I bought a pair and I put these things on and they were so light and so comfortable. I went, oh my God. And we had been making these crepe sole heavy shoes that probably weighed 4 or 5 pounds a pair. They were very comfortable, bouncy shoes, but they were like lead. I put these on and I said, this is it. I said, if we don't make shoes like this, we're finished. I mean, the day will come when people only will want to wear this. So I really set myself a goal. I said, if the shoe is not as comfortable as a running shoe, this is not going to be a shoe I'm going to wear, and I don't think anyone else eventually is going to wear either. And we started off making kind of casual type shoes in those days, and eventually we realized, well, people still want to look sharp.
Right.
And so how do you do that? So I learned that years and years ago, what it took to do that. But when I came back to it this time, I decided that I could improve on that and improve on
Amazing.
it a lot. And so I just took on this product, I just took the limits off and I said, what can we do to make the best possible shoe that you just put it on and you go, yes.
Yeah.
And so we just set no limits for ourselves. We used the finest leathers and we leather lined the shoe, and I bought maybe 100 orthotics and I tried them all out, and I would be the guy at the component show in Germany going around barefoot, running up and down the aisle trying on different things. People would go and squeeze them. I'd say, no, let me put that in my shoe. And so little by little, I found out a way to do it. And there's a limit. You cannot make super pointed shoes. Right. Because the foot isn't shaped that way. But if you make the shoe a little longer, you can give it a nice look. And so that's what we've done.
But it's still a bit. I mean, aside from the fact that many in the audience have seen the ads in the Wall Street Journal, et cetera, you're clearly also targeting the business community, the businessman who needs to be sharp, but at the same time doesn't want to be in pain all day.
Yeah, when I look at, right now it's amazing coming back to the business and seeing how many people are wearing sneakers for everything. I just went to Paris a few weeks ago just to shop the windows and see and to Milan. And over there, all the women are wearing nothing but sneakers. All the fancy shoes, you can't find them. You can buy $800 sneakers, but they're, we're pretty crazy looking stuff. I think it was possible to have, something that looked appropriate for a business setting, but that had the same comfort. And I knew I could do that. And so really we came up with this idea of what we started calling the unsneaker. And
which is going to be my next question.
And how to do that, because I don't think everybody has to look like they're just, like they just came from the gym, with a baseball hat and a pair of gym shoes and they're going to a board meeting.
Correct. No, it's not appropriate, and it's not the right setting, and many times it could even affect the conversation. Packaging is a very, very critical role in any setting, and certainly in a business setting. My guest this evening is none other than Bruce Katz, the founder and CEO of Samuel Hubbard Shoe Company. There are many in the audience that are very excited about the show because they're probably jumping up and down now in their Hubbards. I know I am in mine, but I'm not jumping up and down. I'm interviewing the founder and CEO, so I'm behaving myself, but definitely with a very comfortable pair of shoes. So thank you, Bruce. You invented the Unsneaker. Okay, it's a trademark of the Samuel Hubbard brand. By the way, you could visit them online. They're retailers nationwide that carry it. But just briefly, many of you are wondering, okay, how can I order a pair? SamuelHubbard.com. Samuel Hubbard is with two B's, HUBBARD.com, just to go on and order yourself a pair. But talking about the Unsneaker, how has this one innovative idea grown your business to be one of the, if not the leader in the industry, and explain what the Unsneaker is?
So the notion of the Unsneaker is how do you meet the standard of all these lightweight athletic type shoes that people are used to, and make a conventional shoe. And why would you do that? Well, one of the reasons to do that is, first of all, that a good leather shoe, not only does it look more appropriate in all kinds of settings, whether it's out to dinner on Saturday night with the family, or whether you're going to a business meeting, but also a leather shoe is a much more supportive shoe for walking a lot. And when one of the things that we did over the years at Rockport was we pioneered the whole fitness walking movement, and it became clear when I try to walk a long way in a pair of running shoes, I mean that they're not exactly designed for walking. They're not as supportive in a way that walking is. And also, if you wear a pair of running shoes and it happens to be 2 feet of snow in Chicago in the middle of winter, you might like Gore-Tex. You might like to have a non-skid sole that's designed to stand on ice. You might like a shearling lining. You might like waterproof leather. And so there are many other things that are possible. And the sneakers today are just lighter and they're kind of more minimal. They're all synthetic materials and lightweight. And I'm not taking anything away. They're super comfortable. That's what I measure against. But my gold standard is if I'm wearing a pair of shoes, I don't want to remember I have them on. If at any point in the day I think I have my shoes on, then I've done something wrong. And I've had people write to me and say, I used to come home and take my shoes off when I got to the house, and I realized I was more comfortable wearing the shoes around the house than I was taking them off. Or another guy said, I'd come down in the morning, I used to put my bed slippers on, now I put on my Hubbards because they're more comfortable than my bed slippers. So, these are the kind of standards that I try to measure up to. And when we design a shoe, unlike many shoe companies, one of the things we do is we take a long time to do it. People in the shoe industry, they have fashion cycles. They have to bring out new shoes every 4 or 5 or 6 months. Some of these shoes, the first shoe took us almost 1.5 years to get right. And I thought we knew what we were doing. And I had a very, very good shoemaker working with me that I used to work with, a Swiss man, Werner Versch, in Portugal, and it took the two of us 1.5 years to get one shoe that we said, yes, okay. And
that's
other
such a
shoes,
great point.
Other shoes have taken 2.5 years. So we just came up with a boat shoe and a golf shoe that it's at least 2.5 years.
Wow.
And the funny thing was when we started the project, it was going to be called Fast Track. And we should have called it, if we had called it Slow Track, we would have known what we were doing. It was 2.5 years and many molds and many trials of stuff. We said, this isn't good enough, this doesn't work, and going back and back and back. So you can't do that quite in a fashion industry as well as you can do it in this kind of company that we have now, where we really work to get a perfect product each time.
I love the honor of interviewing C-level executives and sharing their great advice and perspective on Mind Your Business. I'd love to get your feedback. Post it in the comments below and subscribe. You'll never miss an edition of Mind Your Business.